You mad falling over
falls over
everywhere.
all the time. And because I am disabled the way I am, I can't bend down and pick it up.
Oh, I know, and I have to do that bit.
Yeah, and I have to wipe the dog's mucus from its eyes.
Okay, so we need to talk about one of the most shocking breakups in British TV history. Eamonn Holmes and Ruth Langsford were literally the couple everyone loved. The golden pair of daytime television. But their fairy tale? It came crashing down in the messiest way possible. And now, at 66, what Eamonn's been doing is finally showing us what really went down behind closed doors. Trust me, this has more drama than any soap opera you've ever watched. So how did two people who seemed so perfect together end up like this? The golden couple. Okay, let's back up a bit. If you're not familiar with them, Eamonn Holmes and Ruth Langsford weren't just some random celebrity couple. They were the couple. Britain absolutely adored them. They hosted ITV's This Morning together for years, from 2006 all the way to 2021, and their chemistry and banter on screen was just chef's kiss. But get this, their relationship goes back way further. Ruth and Eamonn started dating in 1996. Yeah, they were together for 27 years total, married for 14 of those. They got married in 2010 at this gorgeous place called Elvetham Hall in Hampshire. And they have a son together, Jack, who's 23 now. They just seemed so real, you know, like the kind of couple that actually made you believe in love. They worked together, laughed together on TV, and people couldn't get enough of them. They felt genuine, relatable, like they had this perfect thing going. Which is why what happened next absolutely blindsided everyone. The shocking split. So in May 2024, the bombshell dropped. A spokesperson came out and confirmed what literally nobody saw coming. Ruth Langsford and Eamonn Holmes have confirmed their marriage is over and they are in the process of divorcing. Just like that. 27 years together, done. Over, finished. The entertainment world went into complete shock. Fans were devastated. Like, how does this even happen? What went wrong? Here's the thing, though. For months before the announcement, there were little whispers. People started noticing they hadn't been spotted together publicly for like 2 years. But everyone just figured they were busy, doing their own thing. Nobody had a clue what was really going on behind the scenes. Both of them stayed completely quiet about why they split. No dramatic public statements, no Twitter rants, nothing. Just silence. Which honestly made everyone even more curious about what actually went down, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Because even though they weren't talking, sources close to them started telling a very different story about what happened in that Surrey home they shared. So what was the moment that finally broke this seemingly perfect relationship? The phone call that changed everything. All right, this is where things get really dark. So according to reports, Ruth made this absolutely devastating discovery that basically ended everything. And it all started with a phone call. The Sun reported that Ruth overheard Eamonn having what they called intimate conversations with another woman. She thought she was home alone. Can you even imagine? You're taking care of your husband who's dealing with serious health problems, and you accidentally hear him on the phone having intimate conversations with someone else. A source said, Eamonn thought he was in the house alone while he was chatting on the phone, but Ruth could hear him from elsewhere in the house and was totally horrified. I mean, just picture the absolute betrayal she must have felt at that moment. There she is, being this devoted wife, standing by him through everything, especially while he's dealing with mobility issues and chronic pain. And this is what she discovers? But wait, it gets worse. Apparently, Ruth didn't just overhear that one conversation. She found messages on Eamonn's laptop, too. messages that basically confirmed her worst nightmare about what was going on. The confrontation afterwards was apparently explosive. The source said, "She confronted Eamonn. It was quite a shock for both of them. Eamonn had no idea Ruth was in the house at the time." Talk about getting caught completely red-handed. The guy had zero idea his wife could hear everything. And when she confronted him with what she knew, that was it. Marriage over, right there. An insider put it perfectly. It was a huge blow to Ruth, particularly as she had been devoted to caring for Eamonn during his physical health issues. To discover he was sharing intimate chats with another woman was a real kick in the teeth for Ruth. But was this really when it all started falling apart? Or were there signs earlier that everyone just missed? Eamonn's health struggles. So to really understand how devastating this betrayal was, we need to talk about what Ruth had been going through. Eamonn's been dealing with some really serious health stuff for years now. Chronic back pain, spinal surgery, multiple falls, wheelchairs. His health struggles have been pretty well documented, and they haven't been easy to deal with. And through all of it, Ruth was right there. She was his caregiver, his whole support system. While the world saw the TV guy, Ruth was seeing someone struggling with pain and mobility issues every single day. She basically put her own life on pause to take care of him. That's what makes this whole thing so much worse. Ruth wasn't just his wife. She was basically his nurse, his companion through the absolute worst times. She was there for the surgeries, the recovery, those tough days when just getting out of bed was a struggle. So for her to find out that during all of this, Eamonn was having intimate conversations with another woman? I mean, devastating doesn't even cover it. His health is still a concern too. He's missed a bunch of his GB News shows this year, and fans have been worried about him. Back in April 2025, he was noticeably absent from his regular breakfast show, which had people asking questions. But while Ruth was sacrificing everything to care for him, what was really happening in that marriage? Enter Katie Alexander. So who's the mystery woman? Well, the truth came out pretty quickly. Her name is Katie Alexander. She's 43, which is 22 years younger than Eamonn, by the way. And here's the kicker. She's a relationship counselor. Yeah, you read that right. A relationship counselor. The irony is kind of insane, isn't it? So apparently Eamonn and Katie first connected on social media back in 2015. That's 9 years before the divorce announcement. I'm gonna let that sink in for a second. Now, we can't say for sure what the exact nature of their relationship was or when things changed, but the fact that they've known each other for almost a decade before the split, that definitely raises some eyebrows. But here's what we do know. Eamonn did not waste any time going public. While Ruth was dealing with all the heartbreak privately, Eamonn was already out there getting photographed with Katie. November 2024. Just 6 months after announcing the split, they made their first public appearance together at the Irish Post Awards. And it gets more serious. In January 2026, reports came out that Eamonn bought a new place near Belfast in Northern Ireland. Sources say it's specifically for him and Katie to enjoy together. An insider revealed, Eamonn loves going back to Northern Ireland visiting family, and he's been after a new place there for a while. It will be the perfect place to build a home with Katie, with no memories of anyone else. They can use it for weekend retreats. He even spent Christmas 2025 with Katie at a luxury hotel in the UK. Reports say they enjoyed a cozy holiday together at Rudding Park, while Ruth was back home dealing with the reality of their split. So yeah, while Ruth was spending the holidays dealing with the grief of her marriage ending, Eamonn was building this whole new life. Pretty cold, right? I'll let you decide. But how did Ruth handle watching her husband move on this fast? And what did it do to her? Ruth's heartbreak and recovery. While Eamonn moved on at lightning speed, Ruth's journey has been completely different. And honestly, her strength through all this is actually inspiring. Ruth's been really open about how hard the split has been. She revealed she started counseling when they separated, and she's still going. In an interview with Woman and Home magazine, she said, "I started counseling when Eamonn and I separated, and I'm still having it. It is very powerful and very useful. It gives me tools to deal with things." She talked about the beginning, how she was seeing darkness and thinking, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" But Ruth made a choice not to let this destroy her. She said, "I started counseling when Eamonn and I separated, and I'm still having it. It is very powerful and very useful. It gives me tools to deal with things." And she really has. Ruth threw herself into work, kept going on Loose Women as a panelist, stayed professional even while her personal life was falling apart. She's been spending tons of time with her son Jack, who's apparently very much on his mom's side through all this. Plus, she's dealing with caring for her 94-year-old mother Joan, who has Alzheimer's. Since the split, Ruth, Joan, and Ruth's dog Maggie have all been living together. Ruth has primary custody of Maggie, which has been one small comfort during this difficult time. But despite everything, Ruth's shown serious strength. She's been out with her girlfriends, rediscovering her independence, learning to be okay on her own. She told interviewers, "I'm quite fine being on my own, but not forever. I'm trying to now embrace the fact I'm single and can make choices that are just about me." She hasn't even ruled out finding love again. When asked about future relationships, Ruth said, "Never say never. I haven't even been put off marriage, but I'm definitely not actively looking. And part of that is because I've realized I'm actually quite good on my own." So when you look at both their paths after the split, what does this whole thing really say about love, loyalty, and starting over later in life? The family fallout. Honestly, maybe the most heartbreaking part of this whole situation is what it's done to the family, especially with their son Jack. In January 2026, reports came out that Ruth is furious with Eamonn for apparently not even reaching out to their son over Christmas and New Year. According to Bella magazine, Eamonn made little to no effort to contact Jack, who's 23, during the festive period. A source told them, "Ruth is furious that Eamonn made no attempt to reach out to his son Jack to offer an olive branch and try to build bridges over Christmas and New Year. She says the least Eamonn could have done was try." Things are apparently still strained between Jack and his dad. The kid has clearly taken his mom's side through all of this, which has to add another layer of pain to an already painful situation. Think about it from Jack's point of view, though. He watched his mom take care of his dad through all these serious health issues, only to see his dad move on with someone new almost immediately after the split. That's gotta be incredibly tough to process, right? The fact that Eamonn didn't even reach out to his own son during Christmas? That speaks volumes about where things stand between them right now. So after all the heartbreak, the new relationships, the family drama, who's really changed the most here? Ruth's upcoming tell-all. Now here's where things get really interesting. Because while Eamonn's stayed pretty quiet about the specifics of their split, Ruth is about to break her silence in a big way. December 2025, Ruth announced she's writing a memoir called Feeling Fabulous, and it's coming out February 26, 2026. That's literally just days away. Ruth promised the book will cover the ups, the downs, and the lessons that have shaped her, which a lot of people are taking as her finally telling her side of the story. She's calling it a memoir plus instead of a traditional autobiography, but she's made it clear she'll be talking about how she's dealt with challenges and how she's handling life now at 65. She told her followers, "I've been working on this for a long time. It's stories from my life, actual things that have happened to me, how I've dealt with them, the lessons I've learned from them, how I've coped, how I'm finding life now at 65. Ruth teased that some stories are heartwarming, some are a bit heart-wrenching, and some might make you laugh. She added, "It will show how resilient I can be and the lessons I've learned that have shaped the way I live my life today." Now look, Ruth hasn't come out and said she's gonna spill all the tea on Eamonn in the book. But come on, after everything that's happened, the alleged betrayal, the quick rebound, and all the family drama, there's no way she doesn't address the elephant in the room. The timing's pretty interesting, too. The book drops late February 2026, almost 2 years after they first announced the split. That's given Ruth plenty of time to process everything, heal, and get some perspective on what went down. So, with Ruth finally ready to tell her story, the big question is, what's she gonna reveal, and how's everyone gonna react? The divorce battle. Behind the scenes, the actual divorce proceedings are getting messy too. Reports say Ruth and Eamonn are basically at war over money. Ruth's apparently upset that they'll have to sell their house in Surrey, the place where they built their life together, raised Jack, and, yeah, where Ruth overheard that phone call. There's also been drama with Eamonn's finances. He said he's been ruined by HMRC after getting into this whole dispute about whether he was self-employed or a disguised employee of ITV when he was presenting This Morning between 2011 and 2015. So on top of everything else, there's money problems making an already messy situation even messier. Neither Ruth nor Eamonn has talked about each other publicly since the split. They're keeping this professional distance despite their very public history. But you can totally feel the tension under the surface. The divorce still isn't finalized, which means this whole saga is far from over. And with Ruth's book dropping soon, we might finally get the full story. With the divorce still up in the air and Ruth's memoir about to come out, the real question now is, how's the world gonna react when she finally shares her side? So yeah, there you have it. The tragic fall of one of British television's most beloved couples. What started as this fairy tale romance that lasted almost 3 decades ended with alleged betrayal, a shocking rebound, family drama, and 2 completely different paths forward. On one side, you've got Eamonn Holmes at 66, dealing with ongoing health problems while building this new life with his 43-year-old girlfriend, Katie Alexander. He bought a property for their future, spent Christmas with her, seems to have completely moved on. But at what cost? His relationship with his son looks strained, and his public image has definitely taken a hit. On the other side, there's Ruth Langsford at 65, who's shown incredible strength through what has to be one of the most painful times of her life. She's in therapy, taking care of her elderly mom, keeping up with her career, learning to be okay with being independent. And soon, she'll be telling her story in her own words with this memoir. And look, we might never know every single detail of what happened behind closed doors. But the facts we do have paint a pretty clear picture. Ruth devoted herself to caring for Eamonn through his health struggles, only to find out he was having intimate conversations with another woman. The betrayal ended their marriage instantly, and Eamonn moved on publicly without looking back. Now the big question: what's Ruth gonna reveal in her book? Will she finally break her silence on all the details? Will she confirm all the rumors that shocked us? We'll have to wait and see. The whole situation just goes to show you that you never really know what's happening in someone's relationship, no matter how perfect it looks from the outside. These two seemed unshakable for decades, and yet, here we are. It's a reminder that even the strongest-looking marriages can have cracks we can't see. And when those cracks finally break open, the fallout can be absolutely devastating for everyone involved. But here's where you come in. What do you think about all this? Was Eamonn wrong for how he handled things? Are you Team Ruth or Team Eamonn? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Seriously, we want to hear what you think. And while you're down there, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this story. Share this with your friends who love celebrity drama. Trust me, they'll thank you. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.